Good morning, Fuzzy Biker here. Look at that, huh? July 28th, 2021. Look what I've got here. This is a 2019 Scrambler 1200 XC. Listen to that sound. Doesn't that just sound beautiful? Baxter Cycle asked me if I wanted to take it for a bit of a ride. So, of course, I said yes. Absolutely beautiful machine. I love the way she sounds. Just gorgeous. This is the adventure bike without a fairing. If you want an adventure bike but you don't want a fairing, get one of these. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous two-tone black paint, red stripe. This is a flat, this is a shiny. One thing about Triumph, it's designed, everything looks like it's meant to be where it is. Everything is, nothing looks added on or bolted on after the fact, or, everything is, nothing was by committee. Pure style. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, the engine on this thing is the 1200cc high power HP. That's the same one that's in the Thruxton and in the Speed Twin, which is an absolutely beautiful bike, by the way. Both of those are. It has a 8 valves, 4 per cylinder, single overhead cam, 200, as you can hear, 270-degree crank. Motor produces about 89 horsepower, and about 81 foot-pounds of torque. Now the thing about the torque is, I looked at the torque curve on this bike. At 2,500 RPM, it's already over 70 pounds. I think it's 71 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM. That's right over idle. Idle's 1,000 right now. But so you've got torque from Hades to heaven on this bike, right? And that's just what you want in a bike like this. Compression ratio is 11:1. I'd probably run premium in it. They say you don't have to. Got a power assist clutch and a 6-speed gearbox, and that gearbox is absolutely smooth. Speaking of the gearbox, look at this. Bends. I think the brake lever does the same thing. Yeah, there it goes. Just what you want in an off-roader, huh? The suspension on this, the front is an inverted fork, 45 millimeter. They're adjustable with about 8 inches of travel, just under 8 inches. And I think the rear end, and that's a Showa fork, by the way. The rear end is Olin. See him back there hiding. And that also has about 8 inches, just under 8 inches of travel. Here's the beautiful part, another of the beautiful parts of this motorcycle, these wonderful brakes, and they are amazing, by the way. So we've got M50 monoblock, radially mounted Brembo brakes. I think they are 320. Got 320 on the front, ABS also, by the way. But here's the kicker on these bikes. Most bikes, the rear brake is like an afterthought. This has got a Brembo on the back, a 255 millimeter Brembo, 2-piston on the back. On the front, these are 4 pistons, squeezed from both sides. Looks like they're floating. Just wow, absolutely wow. Holds about a little over 4 gallons of gas. LED headlight, blinkers, all that neat stuff. Isn't that something? Just fabulous. Wheelbase is about 60 inches. And seat height is 33. It is a tall seat, but here again, it's a narrow motorcycle. Even with that pipe running that way, it is a narrow motorcycle, so it doesn't feel as tall as you might think. Isn't that just beautiful? Fuel injected, liquid cooled, just fabulous. Weight on this bike is about 450, 460, which is, you know, 100 pounds lighter than most adventure bikes. Service intervals are 10,000 miles. How's that? So once a year, if you know, ride like the average person. Just absolutely, I love this headlight. I mean, look at this detail. Just, wow. Wonderful hand guards, you know, they're just, everything looks like it was meant to be. I just love that sound. I just love it. Look at this exhaust system. You know, colored in, the aluminum guards, the aluminum silencers, are stainless. They look stainless, I guess. The bike has an aluminum swing arm, metal downtube frame. I think this frame is bespoke to this bike. I don't think it is the same one that's on the Bonnevilles. I think it's an actually a different frame. I'll have to check into that to be sure. And the ground clearance, I think, is just under 8 inches. So the XC, this model, has got, you know, a little less suspension travel, a little thinner forks, a little lower to the ground, a little street friendlier is what they're selling it as. But look at that bike. I've just had a ball on this thing already this morning. I didn't want to stop. You know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I'll catch up with you all at the next stop. We'll talk about the wonderful electronic packages on these new Triumphs. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how she rides then too, huh? All right, guys. Let's go have some fun. Well, we started at Elkhorn, Iowa. We are now at Prairie Rose State Park. I put some miles on, more miles on this thing. Shoot, absolutely beautiful thing. Oh, by the way, tubeless tires with spokes, front and rear. 21-inch tire on the front, I believe. This thing is a ball. Seating position, you sit very upright. You can scoot yourself right up against the tank. It's very dirt bike-ish when you do that. My feet are just below my knees when I put my balls of my feet on here, on this part. When I put my toes back, you know, it gives a little more of an angle. Very nice. The seat itself, I can ride it here on back. And, you know, if I slide back, the more the lean you get. I thought it was very comfortable for what it is, for this kind of a bike. It also is, I think it's got enough padding in it. I don't think it's under padded, but it's definitely a flat seat. You'd have to get used to that. I have a very wide seat on the bike I ride now, so it's a contrast. The handlebars are forward, but they're not, you're not reaching for them. Very good, I thought. The like I said, the foot pegs felt good, you know. Pretty comfortable bike. You can definitely tell it's got the dirt bike influence, the Scrambler influence, I should say. Could you ride this bike a couple 100 miles in a day? I think I could, especially after getting used to it. You know, there'd be a curve, comfort curve. The first time I did it, I'd like to ride it, you know, 150 miles maybe, and then 300 miles after that. It's certainly got all the things you know. I was using the cruise control, for instance. It's got cruise control, and you know, it's got all these riding modes and all this neat stuff. I've been using all that, and that's kind of fun. Got a place for your luggage. Got this bag. I think that's, yeah, that's a Triumph accessory. How does it ride? How does it ride? When you get on it, it does feel tall, but that goes away almost right away. The first thing I did was, I always do this, I whipped a bunch of, you know, turn around in the, you know, figure eights in the road. Did a bunch of that, and I did a bunch of that in Elkhorn, and I'll probably do a bunch of that over here before I get going. And I did that very well. You know, I was very happy with that. I didn't feel threatened at all, or, you know, like I was on a tall motorcycle. Going down the highway, she does, there goes a crop duster. Right there, we've got those kind of birds are seasonal here. We've got them all over right now. We've got that kind and then the whirlybird kind. She does pretty well ride-wise. I thought she handled pretty well. She's very, okay, this bike, I rode the Speed Twin here a while back, and that bike has the same engine as this, but it's tuned differently. I don't know if the internals are any different, but they're both called the HP engine, HP motor, and they're very different, actually. That bike was very, the RPMs would just scream right up the line, you know, and I think that had a higher red line than this. And it was a lot more quickie feeling, you know. This has a lot more lower end grunt. You can sure feel the difference. I think this might actually be easier to drive in that sense. You know, this does not drive like a sports bike where that one did. This one certainly has a lot of torque around, you know, in the bottom. I did put it in I was in road mode earlier, and that went pretty well. And I'm in sport mode now, I believe. But I do like it. I do like it. Like I said, it seems a little tall. It feels tall, even though this is the XC model, the shorter one. It's got, oh, the suspension for me it's a little rough. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to change it, but I think it's infinitely adjustable. You know, we've got these adjusters on the top, plus compression. On the front, I think the front ones are adjustable too. Yeah, right there, with tools. Isn't that just gorgeous? So something about the Triumph styling. And, you know, this is a Scrambler style. Triumphs were, you know, the beginning of the Scrambler era, of course. But I would just like to say that you hear other companies talk about design language. I don't think Triumph talks about design language. I think Triumph just has style, you know. And when you see a Triumph, you recognize their style right away. You either like it or you don't. I do. You know, they've got this whole thing going for them. You know, the strap on this tank, the Monza cap, you know. The just the carb covers, even though it's fuel injected, the heel guards that are metal, you know, the aluminum fenders, front and back, by the way, just absolutely fabulous. Look at that exhaust pipe, you know, this beautiful engine guard, gorgeous aluminum swing arm. But the styling cues are both modern and old, and they're definitely Triumph, and they all work together very well. Like I said, everything looks like it was planned from the start. Nothing looks like an add-on. Everything looks like it was meant to be. You know, even this bag. Look at this, you know, this cover here. Just everything looks like it's supposed to be there. You know, the color of these spark plug covers, you know. Even these hand guards. Just gorgeous. I love the tank, by the way. I just love this flat black on the front, the pinstripe, the raised lettering, the black, and then the knee pads. Absolutely gorgeous. This beautiful, look at this beautiful brown seat, stitched. Just fabulous. Even the shocks have guards on them. Can't see those here, but they do. Look at the quality of the foot, you know, the foot gear. Even the side stand. You know, just everything is paid attention to. The headlight, just, okay. I'm starting to ramble, aren't I? I like it. It's very different than the Speed Twin. Speed Twin with the same HP motor acts like a totally different motorcycle. This is a with the same engine, but a totally unique driving experience and power experience. I asked Baxter about this, and the Speed Twin has a dual throttle body setup where the Scrambler is a single body, larger single throttle body, and that's probably one of the big reasons for the performance difference. Also, I think the Scrambler, you know, the original Triumph Scramblers were Bonnevilles that were, the suspension was beefed up and a high pipe was put on and skid plates, and you know, there's a lot of nostalgia that from that era that's part of this, and I think there's a connection not only in looks on this motorcycle but in the way it performs, and I think they've engineered some of that, they called it gravelly, some of that grit into the motorcycle, and you can feel that when you're driving it. It's a kind of a neat idiosyncrasy, or you know, whatever you want to call it. I enjoyed it. It was a connection to the past. The bike going down the road is absolutely smooth under normal acceleration. Seems like a very modern motorcycle. When you give it the beans, that's where you kind of get that graveliness. You know, there's a little bit of grit when you're giving it the gas. When you really go after it, that's when you get that kind of a gravelly thing. The bike is lower geared than the Speed Twin. And it feels like it. There's a lot more, it feels a lot torquier at the bottom end. Of course, there's 10 more foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM also, by the way that the bike has been tuned and set up. So, very impressive. I love the way they delivered the power, I should say. And I love, everything about it. Let's go up here. This is a TFT. It's got, let's see if I can make it work. Here's your road modes. There's 5 of them total. There's rain, road, sport, off-road, which I'm not going to get into today, and one's adjustable. You can do it driver adjusted. The traction control is on all the time. You can shut it off. You have to go inside. I think if you did that, this thing would just wheelie like nobody's business. If you put this in off-road with the traction control off, you'd have some real dynamite on your hands. It's just fabulous. Anyway, back to this dash. So, it's round, so it's got that retro look, but yet it's modern. We've got our displays on the side. It's got all the information you want. It's got a fuel gauge. You can hit this button here and go into different, my fuel mileage. Apparently I'm getting about 50 miles a gallon. I've got 96 miles of range. Oops, I hit the blinker. It's, the heat gauge. It's got time up here. All kinds of, these are settings for the dial itself. I don't know, let me try that. High contrast, night. Wonder what night's like. There's night, look at that. White on black. That's gorgeous. Let's try something else. Okay, that's back to where we were. Let's see what that does. Well, anyway, just very, very nice. I like the way it looks. I like the top of this bike. I like the way this area looks right through here. So what have we got? We've got great power, good motor, fabulous amount of torque, incredibly good looking motorcycle. Handling is different. I think it's very good handling. It's predictable for sure. This 21-inch tire really makes it it doesn't seem quite as flickable. It doesn't seem anywhere as flickable as the Street Twin. The Street Twin definitely handled a lot different than this bike. Speed Twin, I'm sorry, the Speed Twin. As far as power goes, a lot more low-end torque, maybe. I know, rambling. Hey, let's go ride some more. Yahoo! Wow, what a ride. I have just loved riding this bike. It's absolutely different than the Speed Twin, which shares the same engine. The engine is tuned differently. It performs differently. It has more torque at the bottom. It is very snappy at the bottom end. It's not a race bike kind of thing like the Speed Twin is. It's got a little less RPM. It's 7,000 RPM is the red line on this particular bike. This has a very nice, healthy sound. I really have enjoyed this motorcycle. Like I said, very different from the Speed Twin. It's definitely its own thing. This is, if you're a person that wants a bike that'll do more. It's still very fast, but will also, do the gravel. This is it. And the seating position, the more I ride it, the more I love it. All right, we'll talk more later. So riding a motorcycle like this on a longer ride, I think I went about 40 miles, really gives you a different point of view. I think this is a jack-of-all-trades motorcycle. I think if you wanted to explore America, this would be a very good motorcycle for that. And the reason I say that is the Goldwing will never go where this thing can go. And the average adventure bike with the big fairings and all that, they can't do what this can do. This is a very capable machine. The amount of torque this thing has lets it drive slow easily. The amount of controllability and comfort, I honestly think this is a comfortable bike, and I'd love to drive this 400 or 500 miles in a day. The versatility that this bike has. On the highway it had plenty of power. Roads that had plenty of juice, always. It seemed like it didn't matter what gear you were in. things I like about this, I need cruise control in my life. I don't have it on my current motorcycle. This has it, and I just loved it. You know, set it and forget it. Worked very well on this. It's a one-button system on this bike, but that's enough. The bike is it's light, it's nimble, it has some very endearing characteristics that I enjoyed. I don't know how to quantify that. I would say get yourself a dealer and get them to let you ride this for 40 miles or more. If you are really serious about a Scrambler, try this one out. It's liquid cooled, it's got lots of power, it's got torque from heaven on up, from Hades on up. You know, 2,500 RPM, I think it's already at 71 foot-pounds of torque. An absolutely beautiful motorcycle. I'm very thankful to Baxter Cycle right there for lending me the bike. Look at, they got some new Royal Enfields in, they got some new Tigers right here. Look at these things. All right, Yahoo. Nice talking. Enjoy, y'all. Thank you to Baxter Cycle, Marnie, Iowa, for letting me use this beautiful motorcycle. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like and consider subscribing. Help us beat that YouTube algorithm. Y'all have a great day. Get out there and ride. Wahoo!